I was expecting copies to be sold out, but I wasn't expecting the reach of the hard copies to be massive. And so when UCT contacted me a few years ago and suggested that I strongly consider going for online publication, and this is open access, I thought that was great. I didn't think it would conflict with actual sales of the hard copy. And if the truth be told, the few remaining hard copies left for sale have probably shot up in scarcity value now.
I don't think it was a problem or there was any question for it. Was a sort of a no-brainer for me because I'm a believer in open access. I mean, it's a knowledge is a public resource, and I think it has to be made that way. And the more that public publishers can make the business arrangements for it to be possible, the better it is.
It's like university presses to get books into bookshops. And that is a massive constraint when a book has just been published and it's not in front of people and it's not easy to buy. But if you simultaneously make it open access, you solve that problem. Because obviously there is this tension between needing to cover costs or whatever, but also wanting the work to have as far a reach as possible.
Everybody should have access to. Parents want better schooling. And a lot of times, because of our segregated history and our segregated areas and our segregated schooling, a lot of parents don't actually know how schools within the southern suburbs work. And so what's interesting and what I like about the book is that we had this kind of spider web of different policy instruments. And with that, parents can see, oh, okay, so these kind of work together. And if I tick these boxes, there's a good chance that my kid would get in. And so for me, that's the main reason, is this is a book as much as it's an academic book. It's also a book for the community. It's a book for every parent. It's a book for every teacher. It's a book for every school leader.
Because the kind of work we do should be available freely to all audiences, be they students, policymakers, both globally and locally and on the continent. I mean, in the first instance, it's just the ethos of academic publishing. Ideally, we'd like no paywalls, and ideally, we'd like free access to publications. I mean, I think in some ways, there's a deeper debate about the publishing industry, and of course people need to earn an income. But I think in the academic space, if we can find solutions that provide free access, the better. And certainly this book is pretty much 20, 30 years old, and pretty much would benefit from greater airing through free in a free downloadable format.
And I believe that the book has great demand in the second-hand market. So all these things make it very feasible to go to open access. And more than that, as a recorder of the words of ordinary people, I knew that open access would indeed encourage people who don't normally buy books, people who distrust academics and academic work, nevertheless, out of curiosity, once they heard that the way that they speak and use words like bunny chow and Lani and Gatsby in Cape Town are actually taken seriously in this dictionary, that people would want to download and spread the word around. And indeed, I think that has come to pass.
And I mean, knowledge inequality is one of the big sources of inequalities. That when you put up these financial barriers to accessing information and knowledge, the disadvantage that people suffer, and magnify. Information like this that is particularly developed for the purpose of public policy, I think, are really primary material to be made open access. So I'm really delighted that UCT Press was able to make it open access.
And I suppose in this case, what happened is, the books were sold, but they were sold out quite quickly. And then open access just made it really, really accessible for people who really need it and have been trying to get hold of it ever since it went out of print.
I think it's the way to go. And so I think when the offer was made, it wasn't difficult for me to just say, sure, of course, absolutely. Again, hopefully that would then lead to, a broader reach. Yeah.
I mean, there's always room for growth. I think when it was just in print form, you have to come across it, or be introduced to it physically before you have access to it. But when you have it open access, just even by typing in multilingualism, you have access to the book, you can download, it has a higher reach that way. And I think there's still room for growth. I mean, opening it up to a wider audience is definitely a positive thing and is the way forward. And it's a commendable effort as well.
When it was first released in print, of course, any author is impatient, wants to see it read widely. And I think one reason I chose UCT Press was it's a local publisher. The cost of the book would be affordable. It would be available locally. But as we know, bookshops don't keep books very long if they don't sell in masses. And so I suppose I was always hoping, I was always wishing it could just be freely available. It would have more of an impact. But it's very hard to monitor. We do monitor, I suppose, through the reports we get from UCT Press about how many books were sold. But one always hopes that more than that were actually read through university libraries as well.
Well, I think it did reach people. I think that it was well disseminated, and my target audience was, first of all, the policymakers in government and elsewhere, also academics, also civil society. It's surprising, for example, that while there's vibrant advocacy for all kinds of human rights in South Africa, there had, at least when I was working on this back, almost 10 years ago, that there was not much advocacy on food issues on the part of civil society. I think it has also been helpful in thinking about food with respect to the public at large. I think that it was well received, and I would attribute a lot of that to the fact that it was a book that is edited, and I had the great honor and privilege of working with the top experts in South Africa who had their fingers on the pulse of what was happening and some of the critical policy issues.
Yeah, so I think what we did have prior to the formal book being put together were a series of working papers that was part of a collaborative research program through an institution called the African Economic Research Consortium that brought the authors together. But I think the chapters lived individually as working papers within the UCT universe, but it was the book that elevated it into a compendium, essentially, of integrated sets of questions around poverty, inequality, and the labor market in South Africa. So in many ways, the book was a really important standalone product, if you can call it that, intellectual product, that I think still is being used more as a historical reference, dare I say, 20 odd years after democracy.
Okay, so for me, it was twofold. First of all, the timing of it. Okay, it was COVID. We couldn't have a book launch. We couldn't do any of those things that you would normally do for something like this. So, and even though, you know, there were these online aspects that we could do, it was just difficult. It was difficult to manage. And then the other point was that at the same time, I'm not too familiar with this, but I think UCT and there was another publishing company that had amalgamated. And so I don't think that within the publishing fraternity, they were actually clear on the way forward. And so that caused some confusion from our side. The other thing is that I am new to publishing. This is my first book that I have co-authored. But Professor Jansen, who is my co-author and my mentor and who I took all the guidance from, he's published so many books. So, you know, on that side, it was difficult. And it also did not receive the reach that we thought it would receive, because every single parent who has a kid, very often, you at one stage of your life, this is what you are going through, what school is my kid going to? And so we thought that the book was it should be accessible to the broader community, but at the time, it wasn't.
I remember a couple of people that I knew send me photographs. One I remember from the Durban airport and some funny places, and saying, "Oh my lord, look, there was your book." So from that point of view, that was quite nice. Whether, you know, I found copies in old funny places, but you know, then you always think, well, if they probably didn't have a whole lot of copies, and if I found two, that might be the only two. You know, it's difficult for me to say. It felt like an important, you know, thing to do. You know, I mean, I suppose I was quite intrigued by this, what you're doing now in terms of, you know, finding out about books as an open access thing. It's something I believe very, you know, that you can download these kinds of, you know, books, if at all possible, for free, because I think that makes a massive difference. You know, academic book publishing at the moment, I think, is a bit of a joke. You know, I often find a book that I'm really interested in, and I look at the price, and it's £275.
When do we do a follow-up book? We need to keep the momentum going.
We're only one book project, but from our experience, we would certainly commend the press for its ambition and its innovation, and we hope we can be part of it again in the future.
Just to say that I found the collaboration with UCT Press really extremely satisfying, and was very pleased and felt very privileged to have been able to publish with you. Thank you.
Well, it has exceeded our expectations, I have to admit, and we're really excited that it's had this wide reach, and especially to think of so many colleagues who've now got the book in their own systems and able to make use of it in their own work. And of course, while you mentioned 792, it's an impressive number, but we also know it's not finished yet, and it still remains open for further downloads. So we're excited to see how far it can go.
I'm elated. I'm excited. I'm really, really happy about that, because that shows that, you know, people are actually talking about this and people are interested in this, and we're just hoping that more and more people, you know, access the book and are able to just join the conversation to help build our indigenous languages, to develop our languages, support our learners' well-being and their development in the academic spaces and even in the social context. And, you know, so I am very excited, and all the authors are excited. I told them about this, what's happening today, and many of them are actually, you know, excited about it. and we are definitely on board, and we'll do anything that we need to do to support this initiative.
Well, I would say thank you to UCT Press for making this possible. I had a feeling, if the truth be told, that this would be a good thing, and that once word got around that downloading would be an activity indulged in by several people. And I think if you asked me to put my finger on it, I wouldn't have said 4,000 downloads in the first year. I would have said I'd been happy with 800 or so. But I think what's happened has indeed been people have enjoyed the work. They've enjoyed seeing that some of the words they use have a long and deep history, not just in India, but in the UK, and sometimes in South Africa itself. But most of all, they've enjoyed the humorous angle, some of the citations, some of the meaning, some of the changes of meaning in the dialect. I think are things that they have wanted to share with their buddies and friends. And so I think indeed word has got around. And so I'm very happy that open access has achieved what it set out to do. Someone's used the word viral. It's not a word that I like to use, especially after COVID. But I'm told that amongst expats, it's gone viral in Australia, New Zealand, and the UK particularly. So, and I realize that not all academic publications with UCT Press have this ready-made popular appeal, but I do wish UCT well and UCT Press well in their future endeavors in this regard.
Yes, so you know, I hadn't monitored that, and hearing that figure now is really exciting, and I'm very happy to hear that. I don't really monitor on a very close basis my citations, but I noticed that this book has jumped up to my most cited my most cited publication just recently, and it's got over 500 citations. So it's not just that it's been downloaded, it's also being used and cited, which of course is wonderful, and it's just seems to be having an impact. So that's really heartening.
The Public Knowledge Project extends its heartfelt congratulations to the University of Cape Town Press on the relaunch of their publishing program. The UCT Press team's dedication has yielded the publication of 25 textbooks, granting free and immediate access to tens of thousands of users worldwide, alongside the publication of 7 journals, all made possible through free and open source software developed by PKP. Our 2 organizations are aligned in our unwavering commitment to our shared values of scholarly publishing access, quality, and diversity. PKP software, Open Journal Systems, now facilitates publication of over 34,000 journals in 156 countries, with research published in 60 languages. UCT's own press has published materials in multiple languages, including an indigenous South African language. PKP software is predominantly used by our community in the Global South. Similarly, Open Monograph Press's reach includes 486 instances representing 52 countries. UCT Press also serves as a regional hub, supporting scholars not only in South Africa, but also in Ghana, Cameroon, Namibia, Nigeria, and Rwanda. PKP and UCT Press share a belief that research remains incomplete until its findings can reach the community and contribute to a public good. We're not just recognized for our open source publishing solutions. Our advocacy has catalyzed open access publishing globally. In fact, a recent study revealed that 60% of surveyed OA Diamond journals prefer OJS for their publishing and workflow needs. The influence of PKP software reaches beyond its extensive usage, particularly in light of growing recognition of bibliodiversity as a crucial element in fostering a thriving scholarly publishing ecosystem. Our community is not just about numbers. It's a tapestry of contributors, partners, and scholars. It encompasses generous financial contributions, development partnerships, dedicated individuals who serve on our interest groups and our committees, and publishing programs like UCT Press, which maximize the potential of our platforms. Congratulations again to our friends at UCT Press. We look forward to supporting your important work.
Greetings from the Association of African Universities in Accra, Ghana. We are a network of over 420 universities across the continent. My name is Nodumo Dlamini. I work as the Director for ICT Services, Communications and Knowledge Management. We would like to congratulate the University of Cape Town for relaunching its UCT Press. We believe that this is the right path for many reasons, because open access publishing is extremely important for our African scholars and research. We believe open access publishing will increase visibility for African knowledge, will also increase the impact of African knowledge, will actually make us as a continent also be recognized for contribution to the knowledge space. These days also, several funders are now making it mandatory to publish open. So we need to have facilities and processes to publish open so that we are in compliance with the funder and development partner requirements. Lastly, publishing open is really what is going to accelerate the development of science, technology, innovations, and the strengthening of research in Africa. Thank you again, and congratulations to the University of Cape Town for relaunching its University Press.
Hi, my name is Joe DeVille. I'm sending this video from Manchester here in the UK. I'm based at the University of Lancaster, not too far away, in the Department of Sociology. First of all, just wanted to say congratulations. Congratulations to everyone involved in the relaunch of UCT Press. Absolutely fantastic moment, and I'm sure has taken an incredible amount of work. So many congratulations to everyone. I'm particularly pleased to see that UCT Press is so committed to open access, and that's why perhaps I've been invited to say a few words. I'm also a publisher. I co-founded a very small open access press called Mattering Press a number of years ago. And the reasons we did that, the reasons we decided to make it an open access press are, I imagine, very similar to the reasons why UCT Press has a similar commitment to open access. I and colleagues for a number of years have been arguing that we need our academic books to be available to anybody that needs to read them, whether that be students, whether that be fellow researchers, or whether it be members of the public. It makes no sense to have the products of academic labour being behind paywalls where only a privileged few can access them. And we can see all kinds of ways in which that reinforces inequalities across a variety of registers. I'm also currently involved in a project that is working to develop a range of new infrastructures, a range of new workflows to enable open access presses to not just survive, but thrive. And one of the things that I've been arguing is that it's not just enough to make content available on an open access basis. We also need infrastructures that can support that work. So we, within the project's called Open Book Futures, stand ready to support open access presses in whatever way we can, so that their content can be engaged with by a variety of different readers. Congratulations again on this important moment, and thanks very much for the invitation to take part. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Nils Stern. I'm the Managing Director of the Open Foundation. And I've been invited to give a short statement on open access publishing to mark the relaunch of the UCT Press. I thank you for this opportunity and congratulate you on the relaunch of the press. The Open Foundation operates the OAPEN Library, which is a wonderful free-to-use library of more than 30,000 peer-reviewed open access academic books from hundreds of publishers. We also run the directory of open access books, which indexes more than 75,000 peer-reviewed open access titles with a Creative Commons license or another open license from more than 600 publishers across the globe. Both resources are free to use for everyone, libraries, readers, anyone who wants to benefit from good quality scholarly literature in an open access mode. At OAPEN and DOAB, we firmly believe in the collective benefit of openness as espoused by the UNESCO recommendations on open science. And I quote from the recommendations: as a global public good, open science should belong to humanity in common and benefit humanity as a whole. To this end, scientific knowledge should be openly available and its benefits universally shared. The practice of science should be inclusive, sustainable, and equitable, quote end. Open and equitable scholarly publishing is central to this mission. This not only promotes fairness, inclusiveness, and diversity in knowledge production and exchange, but it also stimulates and fosters innovation across scientific communities and disciplines. Ensuring an open and more fluid transmission of knowledge cultivates collaborative and interdisciplinary initiatives as well as community engagement. To facilitate open science, it is imperative that relevant stakeholders like researchers, publishers, libraries, funders, and service providers collaborate to make open publishing of both journals and books work. By combining shared expertise, resources are pooled and open infrastructures developed that are crucial to sustaining open access. From metadata management, usage reporting, and quality assurance to dissemination, archiving, and other important components that make open access work. While building trust, and as the open access community continues to grow and mature, more support for open science can be leveraged globally. OAPEN and DOAB welcome and support the University of Cape Town Press's transition to open and its commitment to driving open access across South Africa, the African continent, and beyond. Such a commitment supports our common goal of promoting a fairer, more bibliodiverse, and sustainable scholarly publishing landscape to the benefit of us all, producers and consumers of science alike. Thank you.